Guy, Jim Harry here. What to do when that person with BPD, that might be a family member, a partner, an ex, any relationship type, what to do when the person with BPD in your life won't get help, won't go to treatment, is untreated? What to do? Prepare for takeoff. Perhaps you've already experienced takeoff to an alternative emotional planet. Do you realize that the thought that you can help an untreated borderline, that you can do something, that somehow you can make it work, do you not realize that you're not on terra firma? You have blasted off into an alternate universe. An alternate universe in which there is no emotional oxygen for you. No way for you to be able to be you, find you, know you, have your needs met, or even be able to help this untreated borderline. It is an alternate or another world or planet, alternate parallel universe with no emotional oxygen in it for you. What are you trying to hold on to? It's time, past time, to let go and get into your own healing and recovery journey. It's a world of hurt. What are you going to do to come back to earth, to come back to finding your way through healing and recovery, to come back to finding yourself, accepting the relationship can't work with an untreated borderline, and that it's not your fault, and there's nothing you could do about it, and there's nothing you can do to change it, and it is what it is. How much longer are you going to keep yourself in this place of either being in an alternate universe or in a parallel emotional world, or having one foot on terra firma and one foot on the untreated borderlines emotional planet, which is really not good for you? So many people, so many books, so many websites, and even so many professionals are saying you just need to understand, as well as people with BPD, you just need to understand more. You just need to know that you're going to have to give a little bit more. You need to observe, but don't absorb. And you need to feed back truthfully, in a way with boundaries, what you're experiencing. But the fact is, a person with BPD is untreated and not going to get therapy. You can't force it. It doesn't matter how hard you try or ignore yourself to invest in them, your energy to try to help them. And then this magical thing about just set boundaries. Because people with BPD, after all, untreated, as I read somewhere on in an article online, are, quote, adults, unquote. Really? Yeah, chronologically and maybe intellectually, but not emotionally. So, but you have no control over what they do or don't do at the end of the day, right? It's a lack of control that naturally leaves many feeling desperate and helpless. Some people would say, but you don't have to feel desperate and helpless, because you just need to support that person with borderline personality. What, more? Better? Differently? Because you know what? There's no magical solution for this. There's nothing you can do. In any relationship type with somebody with BPD, or if you're the ex of somebody with BPD, you have codependency. You need your own healing and recovery journey. There's nothing you can do. You can't wish away what was. You can't wish something was different, because none of that's going to help. This is where people get stuck. Just support the person with BPD and yourself. Well, there's an oxymoron right there. Because if you're trying to support and caretake for somebody with untreated borderline personality, you won't be focused on yourself at all. Many people are codependents, and you can't do both at the same time. And people with codependency are avoiding themselves still, massively in many cases. You lose yourself to the person with untreated BPD because they're lost. And so apparently, a lot of these websites would say there's several things you can do to support your loved one's recovery. And, many of them include you setting boundaries and not enabling your loved one's really poor, etc. behavior. And if you think that a person with borderline personality in your life or your ex is or was engaging in self-destructive behavior or is in danger of more, don't leave them alone. Like what? You can like really these articles out there in general that say, "Oh, what can you do for your loved one or what can you do for someone in your life with BPD or an ex if they won't get help and treatment?" Well, you can't just be there all the time and don't leave them alone. That's not a solution to the problem. And then also, at the same time as you can read all kinds of things about, just validate them more, just support them more, but don't tolerate any of the really poor treatment and, ways of being that are not okay. Well, of course not. Don't tolerate that. And if they try to harm you, call the police. Well, yeah, of course, but more to the point, what's the point in being in a relationship like this? What's the point when you have codependency? More likely, more people do than not. And the other person, untreated with BPD, isn't taking any personal responsibility, doesn't understand what they're doing, even if they do know when they're manipulating or not. And you can join support groups that by and large will just help you to double down on your trying to enable the untreated borderline, while you absolutely ignore and don't take any care of yourself and don't learn that you need to meet your own needs, and that overgiving and enabling for someone else, especially with untreated BPD, is not going to yield you back anything that you need or deserve. And you can just keep trying to find more resources for that untreated borderline. You can get involved in the groups, you can educate yourself about BPD, then you'll better understand BPD and make choices about how you want to live your life in relation to the person with BPD in your life or who was in your life. This is too much. It's really too much. And there isn't anything that you can do when the person with borderline personality in your life in any relationship type or who was in your life won't get treatment, won't get help. It's a misnomer, all this advice out there. Oh, just do this, just do that, set boundaries. Yeah, try setting a boundary. Like, how many people don't know what happens when you set a boundary? Chaos and drama ensues. Jade conversations. So it's really important for people now, if you're the ex of someone with BPD, if you're still trying to hang in the relationship, still trying to get that person with BPD into treatment who doesn't want to be in treatment, who doesn't realize or doesn't know or doesn't want to know that they have a problem, a BPD, and maybe they've been diagnosed even and they know it, but now they've unknown it somehow, in denial, etc. All of the kind of things that are written out there, even by professionals, and I'm not being critical of them, but you see all of these ideas about setting boundaries and observing and reflecting back the truth to them and what you're experiencing and learning how to communicate better with them and understanding them more and validating them and all of this. Well, it might have some application when somebody is with somebody or someone in your life or you have a family member, whatever relationship type, with borderline personality who's in treatment and getting significant treatment and working through things so that maybe they can hear your boundary. Maybe they can try to grapple with your boundary as opposed to just never mind. Untreated people with BPD don't do boundaries. They don't do attachment. They don't know how to love you. They don't see you. They don't hear you. You just become a parent to them. Parent figure, right? Object other, subconscious on their part. But the bottom line is, you, if it's a significant other relationship especially, but in any relationship, if you're not the parent, who wants to be the parent? And there's nothing healthy. People with BPD untreated don't have the emotional intelligence. And a lot of people with codependency more severely don't have the emotional intelligence either to be able to have that meta communication necessary. Communication that comes out of respect. Communication that comes out of a known sense of self. Because even people with codependency have a compromised sense of self. So this idea that you can do something to change what's happening for the person with BPD untreated, or to change the relationship, to make it work, to be in this person's life and have them in yours or any other relationship type. Often the only answer, especially when somebody remains untreated and unwilling to go to therapy, because BPD is very much treatable today. People can heal and recover. But if they remain untreated, and you look at any of this quote advice unquote out there, it's really not going to be in your best interest. For all the people right now who might have been ghosted and you're the ex or you're the on and off and you're all the and or the relationship is really over but you can't find your way to accepting it yet and you've got the ruminating and all the other things going on, the cognitive dissonance, and you're still over focusing on them and wondering about this, that, and the other thing, please know you don't have to become an expert in borderline personality to be able to get into a healing recovery journey to help yourself. I'm out here to help people that resonate with me because that becomes at some point for people, it's just strengthening your codependency and it's keeping you stuck thinking about them. And again, there's nothing you can do. And it's not your fault when they ghost you or the relationship ruptures. There's nothing anybody can do to help or get the untreated borderline into therapy. Think about yourself and realize that maybe you have codependency and it's difficult for you to let go. Maybe you don't know how to let go. Maybe you just don't know how to, quote, live, unquote, without this person. When someone you know or love or have loved has BPD and won't get help, that's the end of the road right there. So what are you going to do to take care of yourself? Because it is the end of the road. So I hope that was helpful because people are continually feeling like they're the ones that are the reason why relationships don't work out. But people with untreated BPD are not the same as people that are getting treatment, people that have had significant treatment, people that have healed and recovered from BPD. So if they're not in treatment, none of these things you read in books, you can read on websites, etc., how to help the borderline, can you get them in treatment? Can you do this? Why this happened? Why that happened? At the end of the day, there is nothing you can do to change or fix or help the untreated borderline get into therapy.